Hey boys and girls, just going to introduce our new story. Move the screen forward just a little bit here. There we go. So this book is called Cinderella's Stepsister and the Big Bad Wolf. Looking at this story, I see that I have Cinderella up top here and I have the Big Bad Wolf. And I know that those don't usually belong in the same fairy tale. So I'm thinking that this is called, the book type is called a fractured fairy tale. When you get a fractured fairy tale, it means that the author sees a fairy tale, they fracture it or they break it apart, they take pieces that they want, and they put it in their own story. The fact that this says Cinderella and the Big Bad Wolf makes me think that there's actually more than one fairy tale included in this story. I'm going to read the back and then to learn a little bit more about the story, and then we're going to get started. Okay, so you think you know the story of Cinderella? Do you know that she really has 3 stepsisters? And that Cinderella herself isn't actually that nice? The youngest ugly sister, Gertie, is very kind, though she's told she'll have to act mean and bad like the rest of her family if she wants to be allowed to go to the ball. Will Gertie learn to act like a true ugly in time? Now, I apologize if you guys can't see all the pictures all the time. This is a learning story time for me. Here is Cinderella. And here's her stepmother, Mrs. Ugly. Here are all the ugly sisters. 1, 2, and 3. You already know the 2 ugly sisters, who are horrible, nasty, and mean. But Gertie, their little sister, was nice. There we go. While Cinderella lazed about and did absolutely nothing, Gertie watered the pumpkins and took care of the mice and did all the housework. Niceness shone from Gertie's face, and her smile was as bright as the sun. Well, of course the ugly family despaired. They were ashamed. They hid little Gertie away, and they never let her go anywhere with them. Then, one morning, a special invitation came. "Oh, look," said Mrs. Ugly. "We're invited to a grand ball at the palace tonight." "A ball?" cried Gertie. "Oh, please, can I go?" "You," said Mrs. Ugly, "you go to the ball? You're a disgrace to the ugly name. You don't walk ugly, you don't talk ugly, and with that shocking smile on your face, you don't even look ugly." "But I am an ugly sister," Gertie said, "and I can be bad. I know I can." "Oh, you'll need help," said Mrs. Ugly. "A lesson from the wicked queen should do the trick." So that afternoon, Gertie was sent to learn from the wicked queen, who was just about to visit Snow White with a poisoned apple. First, the wicked queen disguised herself as a little old lady, and then she knocked on the door. "Oh, hello, my dear," she said to Snow White. "Won't you take a bite of this lovely apple?" "Well, look out, Snow White," Gertie shouted. "This apple is poisoned." "Oh, no thanks then," said Snow White, and she shut the door. Well, the wicked witch was furious and sent Gertie home faster than a streak of lightning. Mrs. Ugly was very angry, but Gertie begged for another chance. "Oh, all right," said Mrs. Ugly, "but this time you're going to see the worst witch of all." "Being bad is easy," said the worst witch. "Let me show you how. The oven's nice and hot, and I'm planning a delicious dinner. Hansel, Gretel, come in, children." Gertie tried hard, but she just couldn't keep quiet. "Don't come in," she yelled. "The witch is planning to eat you for dinner." "Oh, in that case, we won't be staying," said Hansel and Gretel, "but we'll take some snacks with us." Back home, Mrs. Ugly was furious. "Oh, please," Gertie wailed, "please let me go to the ball. I can be mean and I can be bad like a real ugly sister. I know I can." And she cried so much that Mrs. Ugly agreed to give her one last chance. But this time, Gertie was sent to the meanest and nastiest villain of them all. The big bad wolf, who happened to be wearing a dress. So you want to be ugly, huh? Said the wolf. You want to be bad? Oh, I do, said Gertie. I do, I do. Well, said the wolf, you're just in time. Watch this. Suddenly there was a knock, knock, knock on the door. I wonder who that could be. Little Red Riding Hood skipped in. Oh, Grandma, said Little Red Riding Hood, what big eyes you have. All the better to see you with, said the wolf. Oh, Grandma, said Little Red Riding Hood, what big ears you have. All the better to hear you with, said the wolf. Oh, Grandma, said Little Red Riding Hood, what big teeth. Stop! Gertie shouted. That's not your grandma. That's the big bad wolf. And Little Red Riding Hood scampered off. The wolf turned to Gertie and drooled. Please don't eat me, said Gertie. I've tried so hard to be mean and bad, like the rest of my family, so I could go to the ball and... Ball, said the wolf. Did you just say ball? Well, I've always wanted to go to a ball. Come on, said Gertie. Let's see what we can do. By the time Gertie and the wolf arrived home, Mrs. Ugly and the two ugly sisters had already left for the ball. We're too late, cried Gertie. When who should appear but a beautiful fairy? I am your fairy godmother, she said. She looked at Gertie and the wolf. And I expect you two want to go to the ball, don't you? Stop, shouted an angry voice. It was Cinderella. What about me? She screeched. I've been waiting all night for a fairy godmother to get me to that ball. Well, fairy godmothers do not like bad manners, so she quickly turned Cinderella into a mouse. But Gertie and the wolf went to the ball in beautiful new dresses, and they had a lovely time. So lovely, in fact, that Gertie and Prince Charming fell in love and married soon after. As for Mrs. Ugly and Gertie's two ugly sisters, well, no one quite knows why, but they were never, ever seen again. All right, boys and girls, I wonder what you thought about that story. I really liked it. I noticed that there was a couple of different fairy tales in it, which kind of kept it interesting to me. But if you want to let me know what you think, that would be awesome. You can go on Hangouts to let me know.